Okay, Erev Tov, good evening, everyone. We are continuing Gemara Masechet Berachot. We just began the second parak. We did the Mishnah, and now we're going to continue with the Gemara on Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph on 13A. And if you're looking at the art scroll, the Gemara where we're going to pick up from is 13A-4. We're now getting into discussion of what language Kriyat Shema can be read in. Can I fulfill the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema in English or in Farsi or in Italian? If I want to read a translation of the Shema, will I fulfill that obligation? The Torah says that you have to say it every day. What if I want to do it in my native language? Can I? Am I able to fulfill that mitzvah? More than that, if there's any requirement from the Torah to ever recite anything, am I allowed to do it in any language? There are times where you have to read something from the Torah. Let's say Parshat Zachor, for example. You have a requirement to hear it. What if I want to do it in English? Am I allowed to? Or there's parts of there's different things that we have to recite. Can you do it in any language? That's going to be a topic of discussion. Another topic of discussion is, can I do things out of order? So I have to say Shema Yisrael. What happens if I said the second paragraph before the first paragraph? Or more, let's get more nuanced. If in the first paragraph I said the lines out of order. Let's say I said, if I do it backwards, do I fulfill my obligation? Oh, whatever reason it is. Maybe the guy just remembers one thing and is waiting for someone else, or he wants to do something faster, whatever it is. Are you allowed to? If you read it out of order, do you fulfill your obligation? Another question I have. What happens if you say Shema inaudibly? What do I mean? What does inaudibly mean? You can't hear yourself saying Shema. Let's say you're in a Bet Midrash and it's extremely loud because summer starts. Being quiet. It's weird. Yeah, they heard me. Let's say I'm at a party and it's very loud and I could barely hear myself. But it's time to say Shema Yisrael. And I could say Shema, but I won't be able to hear it. Or let's say I want to say it so low that I won't be able to hear myself. Do I fulfill my obligation? Yes. What? Yes. You say yes, you fulfill it even though you didn't hear it. Yes. Okay? You say no. Well, you're saying you definitely should try to hear it, but if you don't, that's okay. You're saying, what? You have to chop. Oh, you're saying like just pretend. The best is someone who reads with their eyes. Like this. And they look the other way also. No look, read with eye. I know that you could do that. But that's another question. What happens if I don't actually say the Shema Yisrael, but I think the Shema Yisrael? Do I fulfill my obligation?
You say it all the time. There's also people that say the word.
Okay, very good. No, it's not even they think it. The V'chara Af, it's like they just pause for 10 seconds. They take a break. You can take a sip of drink. And then sometimes they just pick up from the end. So they're skipping it. But yeah, that's a question. Question is, what if I don't say it? I think it. Do I fulfill my obligation? A lot of core questions about Shema Yisrael. You hear? The questions we have are, number one, do I have to hear myself saying it? Number two, do I actually have to verbalize it, or can I think it? Can I meditate on the thoughts? The other question is, can I say it out of order? Another question is, can I say it in any other language? A lot of core topics about Shema Yisrael are going to come up right now. Ready? Let's go. Gemara, Masechet Berachot, Daf Yud Gimel, Amud Aleph. We're starting with the first break of the Gemara. It's on 13A-4. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in the Braita. I'm going to share my screen. Mr. Zarvavelli, which country are you in today? I think you look like you're in New York.
No, yeah, my backyard.
Yeah, you're in your backyard. Wow, beautiful. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to share screen. I never know. Sometimes I see sunlight behind you. I think
no, not traveling as much.
Not traveling. Okay, good. Baruch Hashem. Asher yoshvei beitecha, in your own home. Asher yoshvei bebackyard techa. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Says the Gemara. It's quoting a Braita. Kriyat Shema kichtava. Kriyat Shema needs to be recited in its language that it is written, meaning Lashon HaKodesh. According Divrei Rebbe, this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. So according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, one may not fulfill his obligation of reciting Shema by reciting it in another language. It has to be kichtava, in the language in which it's written, Lashon HaKodesh. V'chachamim omrim bechol lashon. Unbelievable. Chachamim are teaching us that you are allowed to say the Shema Yisrael in English. Listen, O Israel. Adonai, our God, Adonai is one. And you shall love God. You shall love God with your entire heart, your entire soul, and you fulfill your obligation. According to the Chachamim, you're allowed to say it in another language. Unbelievable. So now what we're going to do is, get ready for this. This Gemara right here is an excellent Gemara to start with. It's one of these good intro Gemarot that what you now need to do is, we have a machloket. So when we have a machloket, what are we going to do? We're going to say, okay, Rabbi Yudanas, he says it has to be read in Hebrew. Why does he say what he says? So he's going to bring a proof. Chachamim say it could be written in any language. What's the Chachamim's proof? So now you have proof for Rebbe, proof for Chachamim. What is Rebbe going to say about Chachamim's proof? What is Chachamim going to say about Rebbe's proof? What is Rebbe going to say about Chachamim's rejection against his proof? And what is Chachamim going to say about the rejection of Rebbe on his proof? That's why it's an excellent Gemara, because we're going to really delve into, we have a machloket between Rebbe and Chachamim. I need everyone to understand the core machloket, because we're not going to go back and forth. We're going to try sources for it, and we're going to explain what each one does with the other source. So I want everyone to say, the question is, can you fulfill the mitzvah of reciting Shema in any language? According to Rebbe, what does Rebbe say? He says no. He says use the word kichtava. It has to be recited in the language in which it's written, Lashon HaKodesh, Torah, and from the language of the Torah. Chachamim omrim bechol lashon, in any language. It could be recited in any language. Okay, good? Okay, so what do you guys think? Which one do you think the halacha is like? You say Rebbe. You say it has to be in Hebrew. What do you think?
Majority of that Hebrew back then Lashon HaKodesh could also be like a different
It could be, but so he doesn't say Lashon HaKodesh. He says kichtava, as it's written. So however we have it written in the Torah scroll, that's how it has to be read. So in general, yeah. In general, when you have a single opinion, a minority opinion, even though it's Rabbi Nasi, who was the Gadol, he was the Nasi, he was the president, he was the author of the Mishnah, but still, he's one opinion versus Chachamim. In general, halacha kachachamim, the halacha will be like the majority, which means you could say the Shema in any language. Now let's delve into it, then we can see what Shulchan Aruch says. Yes?
Yeah, so like just fine minds good, correcting your mind's good.
Say it again?
You say it in any language, you're still an obligation of directing your mind's good.
So you're saying, do you have to have kavanah, right?
Well, it is talking. You say it like
Yeah, exactly. So when we use the word kavanah, and we're going to get into this a little bit more tonight, when we say kavanah, there's two types of kavanah. There's one form of kavanah means to understand what you're saying. Actually, you probably will have better of that type of kavanah if you say it in English. Better understanding of what you're saying if you have it say it in English than in another language. That would be why it might be better to do it in your own language. Okay, another form of kavanah is kavanah to fulfill your mitzvah. And that is not it doesn't matter what language I'm saying it. That just has to be a mindfulness that right now I am fulfilling mitzvah from the Torah to recite the Shema, and I'm going to do it in this language. That is a state of mind. But the mitzvah of Shema is to recite. What language do I recite it in? Machloket. According to Rebbe, Mr. Azizi, you're no longer the only Kohen. So, and you're second Kohen tonight. Actually, he came first. So you have another. Oh no, we also have Mr. Cohen. Oh, Cody Cohen moved from the city. Your brother is coming here. That's it. You're the third Kohen. Oh, I thought you were the second. You're the third. Ronnie's on the Zoom. Yeah, Ronnie's always on the Zoom. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so let's go. Everyone with me? Machloket. Let's go. Really, really, really an important Gemara to be able to follow the back and forth. I'm going to test you on this. We're going to do it. By the end of the shiur, we're going to say, what is Rebbe's opinion? What's his proof? What's Chachamim's rejection? And what's Rebbe's rejection of their rejection? What's Chachamim's proof? What's Rebbe's rejection? And what's Chachamim's rejection of his rejection? We're going to be able to do that tonight. Ready? Let's go. We have to be loud tonight. My Ta'ama the Rebbe. What is the opinion of Rebbe that says that you have, when you fulfill the Shema, it has to be in the language in which it's written, meaning in Lashon HaKodesh, the Amar Kra, because the Pasuk In the Shema it says, Vehayu hadivarim ha'ele, asher anochim b'sefercha hayom ad avavecha. Vehayu. What does Vehayu mean? Sorry? Vehayu is more future tense. They should be. This is like the Beatles. Let it be. And it's exactly what Rabbi is saying. Is let it be in the language that it is. Amar Krav Vehayu B'Havayatan Yehu. They should be the language that they're in. Right? As they are, so they shall be. Meaning, the pasuk is Vehayu hadivarim ha'ele. These words should be exactly as they are. Don't change the words. That's the opinion of Rabbi. V'Rabbanan ma'itaimu Tamayu. What's the reason for the Rabbanan that say it could be in any language? Amar Krav, because the pasuk says Shema. What does Shema mean?
Here.
It means to hear. It means more than that. It means to listen. Not just to hear words that I don't understand. It means to listen. So, any language in which you can listen. Shema Yisrael, listen, O Israel. Well, if you want me to listen, then tell me in a language that I can listen. So I want to read it in a language that I can understand. Does it make sense that I tell you listen in a language that you don't understand? No. The very nature of the word Shema, which means something that you should understand and comprehend, that lends to the fact that it should be said in English. Okay? Machloket Rebbe says it should be in Hebrew. I'm saying Hebrew, but I mean as it's written. Why? Because Vahayu B'Havayatan Yehu, they should be exactly as they're written. And Shema, Chachamim say in any language, because Shema B'chol Lashon Shata Shomea, any language that you hear. Okay? Now, according to Rebbe, that says it has to be in Hebrew. What does he say about Shema? The word Shema means any language. So what does Rebbe do with the fact that it says Shema and it sounds like you should understand it? So let me say it in any language. Rebbe Nami Haketiv Shema. According to Rebbe, it also says Shema. How does he deal with that? Hahu mibele hashma leoznecha ma she'ata motzi mipicha. He says the word Shema is coming to tell you something else. Back to what Mr. Moradi, what you said, Yosef. He's saying the word Shema means to hear audibly. It doesn't mean you have to understand. So if you're going to tell me, well, I don't understand Lashon HaKodesh, I want to say it in another language that I understand. No! Shema is telling you have to hear it. Hashma leoznecha ma she'ata motzi mipicha, meaning you have to be able to hear what you have to say. You don't necessarily have to understand it by saying it in your native language. So you see, Rebbe is rejecting Rabbanan's proof. Rabbanan say it could be in any language because it says Shema b'chol lashon shata shomea. However you want to hear it, any language. Then Rebbe says no. That means you have to hear it. It has to be audible to your ears. So what should your next question be if you're following this? What do Chachamim say about that requirement? Do the Chachamim require you to be able to hear it? Because if they do they also get that from Shema? Because then they're double dipping. So the Rabbanan, what do Rabbanan respond to that? Savri Marana. Savri la Keman de Amar, they hold like the opinion that says Lo Hishmia leozno yatsa. They hold like the opinion that if you don't hear what you say, you fulfill your obligation. Yatsa. Which means sure you should do it, but if you don't, it's fine. Which means if you're in a party and there's like dancing and there's screaming and you wanna on the dance floor, you wanna start saying Shema Yisrael and you won't be able to hear yourself, according to Chachamim, you fulfill your obligation. I mean, I'm not sure what Chachamim would feel about the whole dance floor, but putting that aside, it's a simcha. You will fulfill your obligation without hearing yourself. So now you see the flow. Chachamim, now we're really breaking down Chachamim first. Chachamim say any language. Why? Because this Shema, however you want to hear it, however you understand. Oh, Rebbe says, no, that's not talking about understanding. That's talking about hearing audibly. So what do you Chachamim say? Like, not required. So Chachamim, from the word Shema, say that means any language. And Rabbi Dana see from that word, say, you have to hear, it has to be audible. You have to hear that which you say. Yes.
The Chachamim find that you can think it in your mind, or they're saying you have to move your lips, but if you don't hear yourself, it's okay.
Right. Okay, excellent question. You're asking, when Chachamim say you don't hear, you fulfill your obligation, is that because you didn't even make an attempt? Because you're just thinking it? Or is it that, like I'm saying, you're saying it so low, what did you call it? Chopping? Like you're saying it, but you're saying it so low. And I like to help make it more practical, I'm saying it's like loud in the room. Simple understanding is no, you have to actually verbalize it. You have to say it, You have to say the words. But because why do you have to say it? I mean, we're going to see this because the answer is it says v'dibarta bam. So v'dibarta means you actually have to say it, but you don't have to hear that which you say, is what Chachamim say. And we're going to get into that requirement. Yeah.
Read it in English as long as you're saying it, like the words Shema are in English. You're reading it in English as long as you're saying it and hearing it as Hebrew, okay?
Transliteration, you're saying. The answer is yes. According to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, there's no requirement to read Shema Yisrael off a scroll. You can say it by heart. So if you say it by heart, whatever prompt you have, if your prompt is in Hebrew, if your prompt is in English, we're talking about the words that you say have to be kichtava. How you're reading it, it could be transliterated into English. That's fine, for sure. Rebbe's requirement is how you recite it. Good? Everyone with me? Okay, I'm going to test you. So if now's your chance. Okay. So we just finished up Rebbe's side. Okay, you're following my chart. We could make a chart. You have a machloket where Rebbe says it has to be in Hebrew or kichtava as it's written. Chachamim say in any language. Source of Chachamim is the word Shema, because be in any language. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's rejection of this source is no, Shema is coming to teach you. It has to be audible. You have to be able to hear it. And Chachamim's rejection of his rejection is doesn't have to be audible. The word there's no requirement. There's no such requirement. There's no such requirement that you have to hear it. The word Shema is coming to teach you. It could be in any language. Now we're going to shift to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's side. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says it has to be in Hebrew. It has to be read in Lashon HaKodesh. How does he learn that from? V'hayu. You said it. V'hayu b'havatan hayu. Ul-Rabbanan. So now we're going to say, what do Chachamim say about the fact that it says v'hayu, let it be, leave it in the language that it is. Ul-Rabbanan, nami hakiti v'hayu. According to the Rabbanan, it also says the word v'hayu. Hahu mibe'en lehu shelo yikal mafreya. That's coming to teach you another way of let it be. What is it? That you can't read it out of order. V'hayu means read it in order. So I agree with you. V'hayu is drasha coming and saying don't mess with it. Rebbe says don't mess with the language. I say don't mess with. Chachamim say I don't mess with the order. The language you can change. You could say it in English, but you have to recite it in order. Translation of the order. Don't say write it on your mezuzot of your houses and your walls, and then put it on your tefillin. That's going out of order. But as long as you're going in order, you can do it in any language. So v'hayu, Rebbe says kichtava in the Hebrew language, and Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim say means not out of order. What's the next question? Well, I'm talking about okay, good. But within, let's say within one paragraph of Shema Yisrael, okay, what would the next flow be? Does Rebbe have a requirement of not reading it out of order? Does Rebbe require that of not reading out of order? And if he does, where does he learn it from? Does he learn it from V'hayu? Because if he does, then he's double dipping. Same parallel. Okay?
They use one word to prove two different things.
No, you cannot use one word to prove two things unless you find me an extra letter. And you say, if it could have said it like this and it said it like that, so I have two extra things. Okay? Ul-Rabbanan, we did that. Sorry. V'Rebbe shelo yikra lemafreya minale. How does Rebbe know that you cannot learn it out of order? I'll tell you how. Nafkale midevarim ha-devarim. He learns it not from the word v'hayu, but with the word after that. What is it? V'hayu ha-devarim ha'ele. He says, you know what it could have said? It could have said v'hayu devarim ele. These words should be ha-devarim means these words. Devarim means words. You could say the words should be or these words should be. Why are you making right? So that's the difference. If it would have said Behayu Devarim Ele, it could say the words should be like this. Behayu Ha-Devarim, these words should be like this. It's extra. Why is it extra? To tell you these words need to be exactly as they're written, meaning don't go out of order. So where does Rebbe learn that you can't go out of order? From the fact that it says Ha-Devarim instead of just saying Devarim. Okay, so now you're going to want to go back. What about Chachamim? What would they say about that? V'Rabbanan, Devarim ha-devarim lo darshi. Chachamim say, no, that's not a real drasha. There's an extra letter there because that's how you're going to say it. V'hayu ha-devarim ha'ele. This is how the words should be. The words or these words, it's the same thing. words, you're what do you call it? Splitting hairs. You're splitting haze, not hairs, but you're splitting haze here. I don't like you splitting haze. This is what Chachamim say. So we're done with the two sides. Okay, Rebbe, let's talk about his side. Rabbi Danasi says that what language can you say it in? Hebrew. Only in Hebrew. What's the source? Kichtava is what means to say it in Hebrew. Which pasuk is the source? Vehayu, va'vayatan Yehu. They should be as they are. Let it be. Don't change the language. Okay, what do Chachamim say about Vehayu? They say don't change the sequence. Don't read it lemafreya. Don't read it out of order. And as Cody said, I'll show you what Rashi here says. Out of order is ubisharecha, mezuzot, al, uchtavtam. Like reading the words out of order. You wonder, like, why would anyone say that? I believe there's other opinions. I think it's Rabbeinu Yonah. It is Rabbeinu Yonah that says it means reading full sentences. Of course, according to that, like that makes zero sense. So the fact that Rashi says that is even surprising. But we're saying, like, even if it's sensible, but you're going out of order, you cannot do it. According to according to Chachamim, it's because it says Vehayu, don't go lemafreya. So what about Rebbe? Does Rebbe have this requirement or not? He does. So where does he learn it from? Ha-devarim, devarim ha-devarim. Okay. Oh, so what do Chachamim do with that extra source there? They don't make a drasha from that. They think you're grasping for thin straws. I'm just working with all my metaphors here. Straws or haze? Again, you got a hay. You got splitting hairs, haze, and grasping at straw haze. Okay, haze straws. Okay, so here we are. Should we make a chart or is everyone clear? Make a chart? Okay. You want like a handwritten chart or you want an Excel chart? No, I don't have one, but we're gonna do it right now. Okay. What language can one recite Shema? Help me out here. Trying to think what's the best way to visualize this. I'm not visualizing right now. Rebbe says Shona Kodesh. Any language. Source. Vehayu. Source. Shema. Rejection of other opinion or rejection of others' source. So let's start with this column. What is Chachamim's rejection of Vehayu? Sorry? Yeah. Not to read. I'll make it prettier afterwards, out of order. And what is the rejection of, what is Rebbe's rejection of Shema, meaning that you can do it in any language? Yeah. Audible. Okay. Rejection of rejection. So when he says not to read it out of order, what does Rebbe say? I learned that from Devarim. Good. And what is Chachamim's rejection of Rebbe's rejection, saying that Shema means that it has to be audible?
Chasing water.
Sorry?
Chasing water.
That's actually not the answer. No, no, that's not the answer. That's the other one. Well, yeah, don't require it to be audible, but I like it. I'm going to call on you right now. Okay. So I learned that from that rejection to the third power. Okay. Chasing waterfalls. Is that what you said? I learned that from Ha-Devarim, Devarim, Ha-Devarim. They say that's not, they don't make that drasha. Chachamim don't agree that it's a valid source.
Benchmark saying, oh, this is like a drasha that everyone.
Sheila Tova, it's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer for you. You're saying like how come Rebbe feels it is a valid source of Chachamim hold that it's not? It's a good question. I don't have an answer for you. Okay, good. Good. Let's just make this a little bit more pretty. And that's that. I wonder if someone definitely has a chart on this already. What's his name? Rabbi Stefanski definitely has a chart. But he definitely has a chart. I don't know if I have it saved, but okay, cool. Good. You're happy? We made a chart. That was simple enough. Let's go. Weiter in the Gemara. Let's go further. Okay. There's one more thing we have to say. Follow this logic. If Rebbe says Shema has to be written in Hebrew because it says Vehayu, what does that tell us about Rebbe's opinion on other things that need to be recited? I'll give you another example of something that has to be recited. There's when someone has bikurim, first fruits, they have to go to one of our kohanim. We're going to go to our new kohen in town. I have a fig tree in Eretz Israel. I take the first fruits of this fig tree and I take it in a basket. I go to the Bet HaMikdash and I have to do ve'anita ve'amarta, and you have to say there's like something you have to recite. It's a very long paragraph, exactly, and you have to say this. We did something similar in Israel. We did Trumot Ma'asrot to the guy on the farm with the oranges. That was a lot of fun. At first, I asked the guy, Trumot Ma'asrot. He's like, "Yeah, of course, I have a rabbi." I'm like, "No, I'm not challenging you. I'm not challenging you, even though I was. But like, I'm not challenging you. I want to know how you do it." He's like, "I know how to do it. My rabbi taught me how to do it." I'm like, "Let's do it." He's like, "Okay." He didn't have a kippah, so he put on his hood, and then he's like, "Let's do it." And then he left. Where'd he go? He pulled up in his tractor. He just came. He drove in a tractor. He wanted to do it from there. Okay, and then he did the Berachot. It was actually fascinating. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, but yeah. So there's times where you have to recite something. Okay, I want to recite something. Other parts of the Torah they have to recite. Parashat Zachor, Tosot says we have to recite it once a year. So the question is, if Rebbe says Shema has to be in Hebrew because Shema says Vehayu, what does that tell us about Rebbe's opinion about other things that we have to recite? Can you recite it in Hebrew or in any language? You say Hebrew, you say any language. Why?
You're gonna make the distinction. If you had a principle that for all the things you have to recite it has to be in Hebrew, then you would never make the distinction.
Very good. You understand? What Andrew's saying is, look at the chart. The chart is saying, oh, I don't know where I am. The chart is saying, according to Rebbe, Shema has to be in Hebrew. Why? Because it says Vehayu. Oh, but Bikurim doesn't say Vehayu. So that means it could be in any language. He's saying I have a special requirement here because it says Vehayu, let it be, Vehaviyatan, they should be in the language that they are. Okay, but other parts of the Torah that doesn't have that requirement means that you can say it in any language. That's going to be the question of on Rebbe. And then we're going to have the same type of question on Chachamim. This is why this Gemara is so beautiful, because you have the parallelism. Chachamim say, over here, for Shema, you could say it in any language, because it says Shema, any language that you understand. What does that tell us about Rebbe's opinion about other parts of the Torah that we have to recite? It has to be in Hebrew, because it doesn't say Shema. So in the area of the Bikurim, or in Parashat Zachor, it doesn't say Shema, it says Zachor. So that has to be in Hebrew. Shema, oh, that says Shema, you could understand it in any language, read it in any language, but everything else has to be in Hebrew. So that's what we're going to now challenge. To say, if you require this here, does that mean you require that elsewhere? And then we're going to reject those ideas. Ready? It's an amazing flow. This Gemara is really amazing. It also comes up in Masechet Megillah, this flow. Okay. Lememra de Sava Rebbe. So this means to tell me, this all tells me that Rebbe holds Bechol Torah Kula, that the rest of the Torah, Bechol Lashon Ne'emra, could be recited in any language. Right? Because Rebbe here says it has to be in Hebrew. If Rebbe here says it has to be in Hebrew because it says Ve'ayu, then that means everywhere else it could be in any language. The Isa Kadaitach, Belashon HaKodesh Ne'emra, because if Rebbe would hold that every time you read anything from the Torah, it has to be in Lashon HaKodesh, Ve'ayu Tekatev Rachmana Lamali. Why would I need it to write Vehayu to come tell me to leave it in Hebrew? If Rebbe is of the opinion that everything stays in Hebrew, then for Shema, Why it has to be in Hebrew? Because I hold that across the board. Somebody says, he says, because it says ve'ayu means don't touch it. That means everything else you can't touch. It means everything else can be in English. Is that true? Yeah. Question.
Couldn't you make the argument that Rebbe's learning from that part of Shema that any portion of the Torah that you're typically required to say that you have to say in Hebrew? Like you can make the connection between like Shema and Bikurim to say they're both required there, right?
Oh. I love it. I love it. Meaning, Andrew's saying that let's keep going with the metaphors. He's gonna say, I'm gonna have my cake and eat it too. Why? Because I'm gonna say that yes, the rest of the Torah has to be in Hebrew, but don't say, oh, so then why do you need the requirement for Shema to say Vehayu has to be in Hebrew? That's where I learned it from. I learned that Shema it says Vehayu has to be in Hebrew, and that's why everything else has to be in Hebrew. Flipping the order. You're saying if the rest of the Torah has to be in Hebrew, then why would you need that requirement for Shema? Andrew's saying, no, I have the requirement for Shema, and I'm going to extrapolate that for the rest of the Torah. Okay? Challenge with Andrew's idea. Where's the weakness, or where's the assumption? Where's the challenge? Okay. Oh, okay, there you go. So, very good. These words of the Shema, we could spend some more time on, but clearly, Chachamim are picking up on these words of Vehayu hadevarim ha'ele. These words are extra. It could just say the Shema, but it says, and they should be these words, ha-devarim, ha-ele, these, a lot of qualifiers, which means to tell you that there's something special about this paragraph. And this paragraph is the only one that you need to recite. Because you know what, Andrew? If I want to extend that across the board, you know what else I could say? I could say, it says in the Shema Yisrael that you have to read it, B'shoch b'chav kumecha, when you go lie down, when you go to sleep. You have to do that for the entire Torah. The entire Torah you have to read when you lie down. The entire Torah you have to read when you get up. No, why? Because Vehayu hadevarim ha'ele asher nechem sevecha yom alev avecha mishantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. This paragraph. So there's a lot of qualifiers in this paragraph that keeps it to this paragraph only, and that's why the requirement to say Shema is here. So you're asking an excellent question. When I say the weakness, I'm not saying that that what you're saying is not strong. It's extremely strong. The answer is because the Shema Yisrael in itself is like wrapped with a lot of these qualifiers. V'hayu ha-devarim. Ha'ele, asher anachim misavacha hayom, that I'm commanding you today, which means not other things. Okay, so very good. Okay, good question. Okay, so let's see, is that correct? Right, you're following? So now we're going back to our question. Is it a fair assumption that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, for the rest of the Torah, requires in English, allows in English? And then Vehayu comes to make the requirement for Shema only. Is it a fair assumption that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi allows you to do everything else in another language? Okay, so let's read it again. So I assume from here, I deduce from here, that the rest of the Torah, according to Rabbi Yehuda, can be recited in any language. Because if you're going to say the rest of the Torah has to be read in Lashon HaKodesh, so then why would I need it to say Vehayu and Shema to tell me Shema has to be in Lashon HaKodesh? Everything has to be in Lashon HaKodesh.
Maybe there's going to find words in whatever those paragraphs are. He'll find a word in one of those that implies that those have to also be said in Chichtava. Might not be in Vehayu, might be some other word that he finds.
Okay, very good, very good. So you still have to then answer, okay, but then those are a bunch of exceptions. But does that mean that the rule is everything could be in any language unless I find an exception in each of them, right? So the Gemara is going to say, no, that's not the case. Don't imply from here, don't deduce from here that Rebbe holds the rest of the Torah could be in any language. What he says is, Itzterich mishum dichtiv Shema. Everything could only be in Hebrew. Everything from the entire Torah could only be in Hebrew. So why do I need the word Vehayu and Shema to come tell you it has to be in Hebrew if everything could only be in Hebrew? Because you have to offset the word Shema. And the word Shema means to hear. Maybe you would think like Chachamim that you could do it in any language. So Vehayu comes to say, no, don't think you could do it in any language. Vehayu, it should be just as it is, which is the way it is for the rest of the Torah also. So don't assume that Rebbe holds that if he requires some Vehayu, he says Shema has to be in Hebrew, that means the rest of the Torah could be English. No, the rest of the Torah also has to be in Hebrew. So why do I need a special requirement for Shema to say it has to be Vehayu in Hebrew? Because the paragraph of Shema uses the word Shema, and you might think that Shema means it could be in any language. So Vehayu is coming to counteract that exception. So then the way it really is flowing, according to Rebbe, is the whole Torah has to be in Hebrew. Then you have the word Shema, which you think makes this an exception, and Rebbe says it's not an exception because it's Vehayu. The word Vehayu is just canceling out the word Shema to tell you that's not what it's talking about. Shema is actually telling you that it has to be audible. It's not telling you not to be, it could be in any language. Okay? So Rebbe is now saying, my entire opinion is predicated or is anchored off the fact that Chachamim say the word Shema means could be in any language, so I need Vehayu to come counteract what they're saying. Amazing flow. Good? I expect some people to be confused by now, so it's okay if you are. But this is the flow. Now, Lememra, now we're going to do the opposite. And I want to show you two important opinions. I want to show you Tosfot, I want to show you Rashi. Lememra, so now let's do the opposite. If the rabbis, if Chachamim, you tell me, if Chachamim say, tell me, by Shema, what do Chachamim say? Could it be, what language does it have to be in? It could be in any language because of the word Shema. So what does that mean about the Rabbanan's opinion, Chachamim's opinion about the rest of the Torah? It has to be in Hebrew, right? Because if they held that everything could be in any language, then why would you need to say, oh, Shema could be in any language? Because it says the word Shema, you have to understand. No, that's your opinion across the board. So if the Rabbanan are coming to require the word Shema to permit me to read it in any language, then what does that mean about the rest of the Torah? It has to be said in Hebrew. So is that a valid assumption? That's going to be the next question of the Gemara. Surprised the Gemara is going to say no, but it must be that the rest of the Torah has to be in Hebrew. Because if the rest of the Torah could have been in any language, why would I need it to come say Shema in any language? What do you mean? Your opinion is you could do it in any language. It must be that Chachamim hold the rest of the Torah has to be in Hebrew. The Gemara says no. Really, Rabbanan hold everything could be in any language. So why do they need a special requirement in Shema to say Shema in any language? You know why? Because let's look over the table. Look at what Rabbi Meir is saying. It says the word Vehayu. You would have thought that the word Vehayu means it has to be in Hebrew. So Shema comes and says, no, that's incorrect. Shema is coming to tell you that no, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be in Hebrew. So Rabbanan's baseline could be that they could hold it in any language, and they would require it to say Shema again. Why do they require it to say Shema that it could be in any language? Because that's coming to counteract the wrong way of learning Vehayu. Vehayu doesn't mean it has to be in Hebrew, because Shema says it could be in English. Vehayu is coming to tell you, don't read it out of order. Yeah. Hashem knew. That's what he's going to say. He's going to say it's all written in the same paragraph, and when you're written in the same paragraph, you're putting an extra word Shema, because in a few more lines, you're going to write the word Vehayu. It's all written at the same time. Vehayu can come to teach you that it has to be in Hebrew, or it could come to teach you that it has to, don't read it out of order. And to come to exclude that view, Chachamim say the word Shema comes to tell you it could be in any language, even though they hold that way for the rest of the Torah. Okay, let's pause. Let me show you two Rashis. Okay, I hope you guys. Do you see why I say this is a excellent Gemara for, like, if you want to introduce someone to Gemara and really sink into the back and forth, it's an excellent Gemara because you have two opinions. You get very familiar with these two, and you get to know these two opinions. You get to know what this is, what that is. It's a very simple concept. And then this one has a source, and this one has a source, and this one rejects his source, and this one rejects that source, and he rejects his source, and he rejects his source. And like, then you're going to say, does that mean that by the rest of the Torah you hold like that? No, not necessarily. Does that mean by the rest of the Torah you hold that? No, not necessarily. Excellent. It's really it's a fun Gemara.
Putting each other on the stand, but constantly like cross-examined, and the other one gets up cross-examined.
Right, and you almost wonder. Sometimes you wonder, why isn't every Gemara like this? When you tell me two opinions, really, you should keep pushing, keep probing, keep getting. Okay, so what does he say about this one? What does he say about that one? What does he say about his rejection? That's really how the flow of the Gemara is. You know, I forgot what it is. So what do? Tell me what I should do. Should I tell you something that I don't know to show my ignorance? Or do I hide my ignorance and not share what I want to share? Okay, I'll share it. I just don't know it. So there's a Gemara somewhere, and I agree. I don't remember in the moment, but it's coming to me at the top of my head that you have to be able. There's this requirement. Someone will help me find this. That you should be able to express halacha even though it's not correct. So there's a question of a snake. The dead body of a snake is not tameh. I think it's Rabbi Akiva. You're searching it? You're searching it, Tomer? Rabbi Akiva, snake impure. Okay? Yeah, he's gonna snake impure Rabbi Akiva. Who are you asking? ChatGPT or Google? ChatGPT?
Yeah.
It does Gemara? Ah, that'd be a game changer. Yeah. No. Misachet Shabbat. Baba Metzia. Okay, now we're just quoting Gemarot. Yes? Yeah, I think Baba Metzia sounds right. Hulin. There you go. That's it. Hulin.
Based on a logical inference and extension of biblical principles regarding impurity.
Okay, very good. This is Gemara Masechet Chulin Daf
122.
122. What did you guys search it on? Google? What did you search it on? ChatGPT 1. Oh, anyway, okay, there you go. ChatGPT got the right one. You said Baba Metzia. You said no. You said Baba Metzia. Okay, so I'll tell you what the Gemara is. Something like to the extent of Rabbi Akiva, being able to prove something that's not correct is like a requirement that he wants from his students. If you want to be a real Talmid Chacham, you have to be able to prove to me the Torah is wrong. Not all the Torah, but a rule. So what does he say? He says the Torah says that rodents, like a rat, a mouse, if it dies, it emanates tumah. A weasel, if it dies, it emanates tumah. But a snake does not emanate tumah. It's not one of the shratzim. A snake is a reptile. It doesn't emanate tumah. It doesn't emanate impurity. Which means you have our kohanim, your friends over here. You're about to eat terumah, and a rat comes and touches you. Sorry. Or a rat comes and touches your terumah. Sorry, you can't eat it. But if a snake, when I say a rat, I mean a dead rat, then it becomes impure. But if it's a dead snake, it won't be impure. This is the rule. But Rabbi Akiva says, I have to be able to prove that that's not true. And what does he say? He says, well, let's think about this. You're telling me a rat is impure when it dies. But can a rat kill a person? No. A rat can't kill a person. A snake can kill a human being, and a human being has the highest level of impurity. So if a rat that cannot kill a person, which emanates the highest tumah, if that's tameh, for sure a snake that could kill, for sure it's going to emanate tumah, right? And so it's wrong in halacha, but it's correct in logic. Is what Rabbi Akiva argues. In other words, that there are times where you have to be able to see the other side of something. In every situation, you have to be able to see the other side in something. If there's a unanimous court case, let's say there's a court case of the Sanhedrin of 71, and all 71 say someone is guilty. The case is thrown out. Because out of the 71 judges, there has to be at least one that could find one defense. So if you have someone and then there's like 34 counts of felonies and all of them across the board, guilty for everything, you wonder if maybe there's some sort of peer pressure here. This is what Halakha says. That if you have all 71 saying guilty, of course it's wrong. Well, there's no dissenting view at all. Okay, so no, that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have a court decision. But it means that there has to be a dissenting view. Everyone has to be able to figure out this dissenting view. Why am I saying this? Because that's what this Gemara is doing. This Gemara is really going back and forth on both sides. Okay, we digressed. And we proved that ChatGPT is stronger than the rest. But let me show you two Gemarot. Okay? Sorry, two commentaries. The first one is I want to show you Rashi, where he says you shouldn't read it out of order. So if you look at commentary, not there. Oh, it's later on. Okay. Here. L'midrash sheikra hadivarim kisidran. You have to read the words in order, velo lemafreya, and not out of order. Kegon, for example, ubisharecha beitecha mezuzot. So Rashi is telling us out of order means ubisharecha beitecha mezuzot al uchtavtam, meaning literally reading it out of order. Other opinions, I believe Rabbeinu Yonah says, why would anyone think you could fulfill your obligation like this? What you're saying is nonsensical. In your gates, in your house, doorpost, on and right. It's not understandable. So therefore, they explain it not to read each word out of order, but it's if you read, because that for sure you're not going to fulfill your obligation. But when we say that you cannot fulfill your obligation by reading out of order, it means by reading full sentences out of order. I'm sure there's a comment down here that says it.
Words in the sentence, or sentences could be put in different order, like can't even put it.
So I'm saying, according to Rashi, it's if you read if you read the words out of order. Okay, footnote 24. As stated above, Behayu and they shall be implies that the words of the Shema must be recited be as they are. According to the rabbis, this means that each of the words of the verse must not be recited out of order. Rabbeinu Yonah adds that it means that one may not recite the verses themselves out of sequence. If one reads complete sections of Shema out of order, out of the sequence, he does fulfill his obligation. So this is back to Cody's point that if someone reads the paragraph of Vehaya, and then reads the paragraph of Vayomer, and then reads the paragraph of Shema Yisrael Be'ahavta, he actually does fulfill his obligation because it's actually out of order in the Torah. So you do fulfill your obligation by reading the paragraphs out of order. It's the sentences within the paragraphs that cannot be read out of order. That's one thing I want to show you. Another thing I want to show you is, you know how we asked this question of, does this mean that the rest of the Torah, Rebbe says, has to be in Hebrew? Or does this mean, according to the rabbi, the rest of the Torah could be in any language, or vice versa? Right? You know what I'm talking about? Because Rebbe says Shema has to be in Hebrew because it's Vehayu. Oh, that means the rest of the Torah could be in any language? So what are we talking about? What are the other requirements that have to be recited that Rebbe would allow us to do in another language? So I gave you examples. What did I say? I said Zachor, Bikurim, Berachot Hamazon. Oh, Berachot Hamazon is good. Isha Sota. Wow. So B'lashon HaKodesh Nemra. Where is this Tosfot? The Holy Tongue. Why did it become English? Honestly, that was really funny. It's about it being in any language and they put it in English. There's definitely some guy back there having fun with that. Okay, look at this. You guys saw that? They put it in English all of a sudden. Okay, look at this. B'lashon HaKodesh Nemra. Pirush Rashi, Perek Sheni Demigdal, Likrot B'Torah. Rashi says, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about reading the Torah. When we say, what is Rebbe's view about the rest of the Torah, what language it could be recited on? Or what's the Rabbanan's view about the rest of the Torah? Rashi in Masechet Megillah means, that means about reading the Torah, the parasha of the week. V'lo ne'ira, says Tosfot. Tosfot says that can't be it. That is Ezra tiken Kriyat Torah. Because that requirement of having the Kriyat Torah really only came from Ezra. So, Umikame de'ata Ezra, Vehayu lamali. So the word Vehayu is coming, if you're telling me this whole requirement didn't even exist because no one was even reading the Torah, he doesn't like it. It's talking about parts of the Torah that you're required to read. Kimo, like Parashat Zachor. Like Parashat Zachor. Inami, alternatively, you could say, Mikra Bikurim, the reciting of the Bikurim, the Vidui Ma'aser is another thing you have to recite. Parashat Chalitza, when a woman who is the part of Yibum, it has to be recited. There's a whole recital in there. Shemitzav Torah Likrotan, they have to be read. That's the one that we say that has to be read in specific languages. So that's what the question is about. There's just one thing. Tosfot says, Parshiot, the Torah portions that you're required to read, not all of the Torah, but the Torah portions that you're required to read from the Torah, like Parshat Zachor. What's the implication of that line? Well, yes, but more than that. the implication is that there's more than just Zachor. Because what does he say? He says, oh, this is talking about those Torah portions that you're required to read, like Zachor. So that he's saying, like Zachor, that's an example. That means there are other portions that you also have to read from the Torah, right? Because it's not so simple that there are. The other commentators state more explicitly Parshat Para. You know the four parashiot that we have before Pesach, before Purim. What are they? Or around Purim? Shkalim, Zachor, Para, and Achodesh. So some say that Para is also required, and they pick up from the fact that Tosot says all of those parts that you're required to read from the Torah, like Zachor. Like Zachor sounds like that's an example, but there's other things to include. Others will more explicitly say that it includes Parashat Para. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out because it's an important concept. Let's keep going. Good? Everyone okay? Back row, you guys could hear me? Or is the noise getting to you? It's okay? Good? Let's go. All right. What time is it? All right, 9:24. Let's go. Tan Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita. Now we have another Braita that starts off with the concept of not reading it out of order, like Chachamim say, but then goes to teach us other things. Tan Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Ve'ayu. Am I sharing my screen? No. Sorry, someone from the Zoom, you got to tell me. I wasn't sharing the Tosafot. Sorry. My bad. I guess you saw me staring at you. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Vehayu shelo yikra lemafreya. Vehayu means that you should not read it out of order. This is the opinion of Chachamim. According to Rebbe, Vehayu is coming to teach you it has to be in Hebrew. According to Chachamim, Vehayu is coming to teach you don't read it out of order. Continue. Hadivarim, Vehayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochim b'savacha hayom al levavecha. It should be on your heart. When it says on your heart, what does that mean? What does it mean that words should be on your heart? You should understand what you're saying, is what we're going to say now. Back to what you were saying. When it says al levavecha, there's a requirement for kavanah, but kavanah, not kavanah that I'm fulfilling a mitzvah, kavanah to understand what I'm saying. If I say these words that I'm telling you today, they should be on your heart every day, on your heart, that means you have to understand it. Saying it with your mouth is one thing. For it to be on your heart, that means you need to understand it. That's what we're saying now. So, does that mean that the entire first paragraph of Shema, the whole first paragraph, you need to understand the entire first paragraph? No, you don't need to, because it says ha'ele. Only up until here, which means Shema ve'afta ve'hayu, you need to understand. Ad kan tzricha kavana. Mikan ve'elach en tzricha kavana. After that, you don't need to understand what you're saying. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. We're asking now the question of what is the minimum amount of Shema Yisrael that you need to understand in order to fulfill your obligation. Okay, so what we're going to say is that requirement that you need to understand it right now comes from the word al levavecha. It has to be on your heart. On your heart means you need to understand it. So in the first paragraph, it says in your heart. Does that mean you need to understand the whole first paragraph? Rabbi Eliezer says no, because it says Vehayu hadivarim ha'ele. These words, only up until the line that says these words. Amar lo Rabbi Akiva says to him, Haro Omer. But when it says these words, what does it say before that? We're now turning to 13B, turning to Yud Gimel Amabet. Asher anochim mitzavacha hayom al levavecha. These words that I am commanding you today. When it says that I am commanding you today, it means coming to include the rest of what I'm about to say. These words that I am commanding you, and I'm continuing to go. From here, you learn, according to Rabbi Akiva, that you need to understand the entire first paragraph of Shema Yisrael. You need to understand all of it. Which means, if someone does not understand the words, the meaning of the first paragraph of Shema, according to Rabbi Akiva, you did not fulfill the obligation. So we have our first Braita. Our first Braita is slicing up the first paragraph of Shema to asking the question of, I know since it says al levavecha that I need to understand it. How much of it do I need to understand? According to Rabbi Eliezer, only up until that line that says al levavecha, that's it. According to Rabbi Akiva, no, it's the entire paragraph, because it says asher anochim mitzavacha hayom, that I'm commanding you today. Which means you go on further. Amar Rabba Bar Rachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So now Rabbi Yochanan will tell us Halacha ki Rabbi Akiva. The law is like Rabbi Akiva. So we have a machloket about how deep into the first paragraph of Shema do I need to understand. Rabbi Akiva says the whole paragraph, and Rabbi Bar Chana in the name of Rabbi Yochanan says halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, which means you need to understand the entire first paragraph. That is the first version of this discussion. Now there's another version of this discussion which lands at the same place. Some say that Rabbi Yochanan's when Rabbi Yochanan says that halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, that you have to have kavanah, you need to understand the whole first paragraph. He actually didn't say it's like Rabbi Akiva. He said it's like someone else who says the same thing. What is it? Hakaret Shema, the one that reads Shema, sarich sheyechaven et libo. This first opinion is saying you need to have kavanah, and I need to read in a little bit based on context what it's saying. This first opinion is telling you you need to understand both the first and second paragraph of Shema. Because the first paragraph says, Alevavecha means on your heart. But what does it say in the second paragraph? Alevavchem, I think, right? I'm misquoting it, but it's Alevavchem. Alavavchem, on your heart. So this the first opinion says, I need to have kavanah for both of these paragraphs, because they're both in your hearts. Rabbi Acham Mishum Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda says, no. Kevan shekiven libo a perek rishon, as long as you understand the first paragraph, shuv einot tzarich. You're not required to have intent and understanding in the second paragraph. So here, it's Rabbi Yehuda that tells us you need the requirement for the first paragraph. Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, and now Rabbi Yochanan says in this one, halacha Rabbi Acham shamar mishum Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. So basically, we have two discussions. The first is Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer says half of the first paragraph. Rabbi Akiva says the whole paragraph. Then the other discussion is Tanakama says two paragraphs. Rabbi Acha says only the first paragraph. And then you have Rabbi Yochanan that's saying the halacha is like the first paragraph. Either he says it's like Rabbi Akiva, which is the stricter opinion in the first discussion, or he says it's like Rabbi Yehuda, which is the more lenient opinion in this discussion. But the point is, Rabbi Yochanan is telling us that you need to understand the words of the Shema Yisrael for the entire first paragraph. Raise of hands. Who's confident that they understand the first paragraph in totality? Okay, I mean someone has to raise their hand. Okay, you're confident. Yeah, no, you're the only one. Okay, I'm kidding. But what we're learning now is that you have a requirement to understand the entire paragraph. This isn't just something nice. It's not just saying, yeah, understand everything. He's saying if you don't fulfill your obligation. It's a strong statement. And Rabbi Yochanan says that that's what the halacha is. Exactly. It's very similar to the first paragraph of Amidah, where you need to understand. Now, we're going to see how, but this is not how the halacha is going to be. Okay, we're going to make it a little bit easier for you. Yeah.
Why does it say Rabbi Yehuda says that only the first paragraph? But I thought Rabbi Yehuda says you have to say it in Hebrew.
Different Rabbi Yehuda. Different Rabbi Yehuda. But also, we're saying two separate things. Hold on a second. Time out. First of all, it's different Rabbi Yehuda. Second of all, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is talking about the language in which you have to recite it. The discussion that we're having now is no longer about the language of recital. Now it's understanding that which I'm saying. So, according to you can have a situation where I require you to say it in Hebrew and I require you to understand it. And if you don't understand it, you do not fulfill your obligation. Why? Because it says Alevavecha on your heart. So it has to be in Hebrew because it's Vehayu. But it says Alevavecha, which means you need to understand it. It has to be on your heart, which means you need to understand it. So those two things aren't a contradiction. Besides from the fact that it's someone else, even if it was the same person, it wouldn't be an issue. Okay, let's keep going. We have some ground to cover. There's one more. Tanya Idach, we have another Braita. We're just throwing all of these Vehayus at you. Vehayu shelo yikra lemafreya. Vehayu means don't read it out of order. This is the third time we already learned this rule. It's good. Don't try this at home. Don't recite Shema out of order. We have multiple proofs, multiple sources. We do not recite it out of order. That's halakha. Al levavecha. What does al levavecha mean? You say al levavecha in the first paragraph. Rav Zutra says, Ad kan mitzvat kavana. So since the first paragraph says al levavecha, in the first paragraph, that's where you have your requirement of understanding. Mikan ve'elach mitzvat kriya. From there and on, meaning for the second paragraph, you don't have a requirement to understand. You just have a requirement to read. That's the opinion of Rav Zutra rather. Rav Zutra says, the first paragraph says Alav Avecha, which means the first paragraph you need to understand, the second paragraph you need to read. Rabbi Yoshia is going to say the opposite. Rabbi Yoshia Omer, Atka mitzvat kriya. The first paragraph you have to read, Mikan ve'elach mitzvat kavana. The second paragraph you need to understand. Okay, we're going to have to elaborate.
Just like repeating what we like. So it's going back to what we were just talking about.
Exactly. It's a separate braita with different opinions. Okay, but there's a nuance here. The nuance here is that Rav Zutra says the first paragraph says Alav Avecha. Therefore, you need to have kavanah in the first paragraph, and you need to read the second paragraph. Does that mean I don't need to read the first paragraph? Because what does he say? He says I need to have kavanah in the first paragraph, and I need to read the second paragraph. Do you need to read the first paragraph too, or not? Okay, and then what does the second opinion say? Rabbi Yoshia? Rabbi Yoshia says, no, you have to have kavanah for the first one. Sorry, you have to read the first one, have kavanah for the second one. Do I have to read the second one? Read the second one or not? When you tell me I have to have kavanah, does that mean I could just think about it in my heart? Does it mean I have to read it and understand it? So let's get into it. Let's go to the first opinion that says, first paragraph, you need to understand. Why do I need? And then later on, I just have to read it. Second paragraph, I just have to read. So the first opinion, Rav Zutra, that says, first paragraph, you need to understand. Why do I need to understand the first paragraph? Tichtiv, ledaber bam. Because it says, sorry. Ma'ishna mikan ve'elach mitzat kriya. Why is it that the second paragraph, I actually have to read it? Tichtiv ledaber bam. Because it says you have to speak these words. The first paragraph also says v'dibarta bam. So the way the Braita first assumes it is that these two verbs of reading and understanding, or reading and having kavanah, are exclusive. Rav Zutra says first paragraph you need to understand, second paragraph you need to read. Rabbi Yoshia says first paragraph you need to understand. The first paragraph you need to read, second paragraph you need to understand. So the first thing what we think is, hold on a second. Rav Zutra says first paragraph you need to understand, second paragraph you have to read. Why do I have to read the second paragraph? Because it says ledaber bam. First one says v'dibarta bam. So if I have to read the second one, I should have to read the first one also. So why are you telling me I only have to read the second one? Because it says ledaber bam. First one says v'dibarta bam. So the Gemara is going to say you're right. Hachi kamar. Adkan mitzat kavana ukriya. They're not exclusive. First paragraph, you need to read because it says v'dibarta bam, and you need to understand because it says alav avecha. Second paragraph, you need to read because it says ledaber bam. Okay? Mikan ve'elach kriya v'lo kavana, but you don't need to understand it. You don't need to understand the second paragraph. Why don't you need to understand the second paragraph? The first paragraph because it says alav avecha v'dibarta bam. Alav avecha means you need to understand it. V'dibarta bam means you have to say it. The second paragraph, hatam nami haketiv alav avchem ledaber bam. It also says on your heart. So what we're saying now is, according to Rav Zutra, first paragraph you need to read because it says ledaber bam. Sorry, v'dibarta bam. You need to understand because it's alav avecha. Second paragraph you need to understand because it's alav avchem. But you also, it says ledaber bam, you have to read it. But it says alav avchem, you should understand it. So what does the Gemara answer? The Gemara says, Hahu mibele leked Rabbi Yitzchak. That's actually coming for another requirement of Rabbi Yitzchak. The Amar v'samtem et devrai ele. You should place these words tzricha sheteheh sima keneged halev. When it says by your heart, it doesn't mean you have to understand it. It means you have to put the words next to your heart. Tefillin. So everyone, let's just speak this out, and then we'll read it again. But let's just speak it out. If it says the word ledaber or v'dibarta, it means you have to say it. So Rav Zutra says, first paragraph says v'dibarta bam, second paragraph says ledaber bam. So I need to say the first paragraph, I need to say the second paragraph. Now, we're going to say, when it talks about the heart, that means you have to understand it. The first paragraph, it says alav avecha, which means you should understand. But the second paragraph, even though it says alav avchem, you don't need to understand it. Why? Because alav avchem over there is talking about the tefillin should be next to your heart. So the requirement in the second paragraph where it says heart is really talking about tefillin being next to your heart, not that you need to understand it. That's what his requirement is. And there's a very important idea when you're putting on your tefillin. I'm going to show off when I used to work out 18 years ago. Okay. This is whatever I have now is from high school, but it's just stuck. So basically, when you have your tefillin, you have your bicep. Okay. Your tefillin should be from the top of your bicep point downward toward your elbow. So your tefillin should really be on the bottom half of your bicep. Okay, so you go like this. Wherever you see the top point is, you put the top line of your tefillin there. The rest of it should be sitting on the rest of your bicep. And it ends up being that if you stick like 2 fingers worth over here from the very end, you'll be able to touch your tefillin, sort of. Right? So it's like, you see where your bicep is? Put the tefillin on the bottom half. That's one requirement. And number 2, it should be angled toward your heart. So sometimes I see someone wearing the tefillin pointing to the next guy, pointing outwards. I've seen that before. You've seen that before? Yeah, it's pointing to someone else's heart, right? Yeah, like you're always giving to other people, so you care about other people's heart. But it should be number 1 on the bicep. Number 2, bottom half of the bicep placement, and then it should be facing towards your heart. Now it's important. If it's going to be on the bicep, it can't be here on the side, right? Because if it's here on the side, it's not sitting where I just told you. That's why I told you the first part. Because some people then they take it and they put it fully on the side, like over here. It shouldn't be over here. It should be on the bicep, angled. So it should be sitting on the bicep, angled toward your heart. And if you're a lefty, the same thing, just on the right arm. Okay? On the bicep, bottom half, starting from the top point downward, angled toward the heart. Once I saw someone wearing it like over here. I didn't say anything. But someone else went to him and told him, he said, your angle, your and he said, it's my minhag. My father used to do this. Okay, follow the minhag. Yeah.
Is it saying that you should point your tefillin and have your arm be like this? It's how do you put it on your bicep once your bicep is facing up?
Okay, good. So you put it on your bicep, but you have it angled. Your bicep isn't just on top, it comes downward. This is bicep. You see this?
But then that's putting it on the side, isn't it?
Yes. But it's sitting on the bicep. This would be the side. This would be the side where it's going on the bone. But it's on the bicep, which means the upper half. So that's why I'm saying it's angled. It's diagonal. Exactly. Let's call it a 45-degree angle. Okay? Yes. Sheila tova. So here we're explaining kavanah as understanding the words, not kavanah of fulfilling the mitzvah. So your question is there a reason why we're explaining it that way? And the answer is because as we've seen up until now, the requirement of having kavanah to understand the mitzvah is a machloket. It's a machloket that according to Rabbah, and I elaborated on David's question this morning, according to Rabbah, you do not need to have kavanah that you're fulfilling a mitzvah. According to Rabbah, if you take a shofar and you're trying to play a deer, a female deer, but you're doing it out of a shofar, and it happens to be you're doing it according to the right sounds, you fulfill your obligation, according to Rabbah. So it's a machloket. So if you have all of these opinions and all of these braytot, because each one is saying how much kavanah you need to have, first paragraph, second paragraph, first half of first paragraph, then that's all saying that all of the Rishonim, all of the Tanaim require you to mitzvot shrichot kavanah, but that's not how we hold. It's not necessarily how we hold. So it's understood as these words need to be on your heart. You need to understand what these words are. It's not that you need to be mindful of the fact that you're fulfilling a mitzvah. It's that you need these words to be on your heart. In order for it to penetrate your heart, this is the way the Rashbai explains, I believe, that you need to understand what the words mean. Yes. Question. Time.
It's talking about like how you need to have kavanah, or you need to be able to recite it with consistent mom or mom. So is he assuming that for like Vayomer you don't need to say it?
Not that you don't need to say it, but that you don't. Well, potentially, yes. Potentially, you don't need to say Vayomer for the requirements of Shema Yisrael. You need to say it for the requirements of Zechirat Yetziat Mitzrayim. Remember, we spoke about why Vayomer is part of the Shema. It's not for the requirement of reciting Shema. So potentially, you don't need to recite it for Shema because it doesn't say Sorry? Yes. But there, the requirement, that's actually is a very good point, but it doesn't say that these words should be on your heart. There it says, don't chase after your heart. Whereas the other one, it says these words need to be on your heart, or you should put these words with something, put it on your heart. So those are talking about the Shema Yisrael and needing to understand it. How do you put it on your heart? By understanding what you're saying. So Jared, that's again, to reiterate, when it says the Shema, you should put these words on your heart. It doesn't mean you should understand that you are now fulfilling a mitzvah. It means these words should be understood to you. They should penetrate your heart. They should mean something to you. So you have to understand it. You're right. That might mean that for the third paragraph, you don't need to say it for this requirement, but then for the requirement of Yetziat Mitzrayim, which we're actually going to see a story. I wanted to get a little bit further. I don't think we're going to be able to. So I think we'll just do a recap. But just on this point, because we're not done, we're going to have to pick up on this point. We're now within the discussion of how much of the Shema Yisrael you need to understand. There's just one thing I have to explain. No one is telling you, don't understand the Shema Yisrael. No one is telling you, hey, understand the first one and then stop. Because that's not something that a thinking person would do. A thinking person doesn't say, I have to say this without understanding it. What it's saying is that if you don't understand, you fulfill your obligation. Again, to Tomer's point, Tomer, if I tell you, you only need to understand the first paragraph of Amidah, the rest you don't need to understand, so don't even study it. I would never tell you don't even study it, but what I might say is, if you don't, you should do everything. If you don't, at least the first paragraph. Same thing here. How much of the Shema Yisrael should you understand? All of it. If you don't, at least the first paragraph. One opinion says first two paragraphs. One opinion says Rabbi Akiva says the whole first paragraph. Rabbi Eliezer says the first half of the first paragraph. And stay tuned for next week that we're going to learn about another opinion. His name is none other than Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. That he is going to introduce to us that just that first sentence of Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. If you understand that, you fulfill your obligation. And that's how Shulchan Aruch will hold. So we have a lot more to get into to conclude this topic and to put a whole bow on it. But Be'ezrat Hashem, that's next time. So for this time, let's see if we could. You think we could quickly do the flow? I'm doing it. We're going to do the flow and then we're going to end this shiur. Okay, Machloket. What language does the Shema Yisrael need to be recited in? According to Rabbi, according to Chachamim, what's the source of Rabbi? Vehayu. That means it has to be in Hebrew. What's the source of Chachamim? Shema. B'chol lashon she'ata shomea. What is Rabbi's rejection of Shema? It means that you have to hear. It has to be audible. What do Chachamim say about that requirement? It doesn't exist, right? Is that what you said? It's not a requirement. You don't need to be able to hear it. Shema means any language, and it's okay if you don't hear it. Okay? Now let's flip to the other side. Let's chase some waterfalls. I think that's this side. Yeah, it is. So Rebbe says it has to be Vehayu. What do Chachamim say about the source Vehayu? It means it has to be said in order. What does Rebbe say about that requirement? You have to do it, but he learns it out from Devarim Ha-Devarim. And what do Chachamim say about that source? It's just splitting haze. It doesn't. You're chasing hay straws. That's it. There's nothing there, and they don't agree with that requirement. Does the fact that Rebbe says Shema has to be in Hebrew because it says Vehayu, does that mean that Rebbe holds the rest of the Torah could be recited in any language?
No.
So then why would he require you Vehayu over here? Because it's coming to counteract Shema that you might think that this could be in any language. So no, this, just like everything else, has to stay in Hebrew. Okay? Does the fact that Chachamim say that Shema could be in any language, does that imply that the rest of the Torah Chachamim required to be only in Lashon HaKodesh? So then why would I need Shema to come tell you it could be in any language? Because it says Ve'ayu, and you might have thought that means it has to be in Hebrew, but no, this like everything else, can be in any language. Okay? Congratulations. That flow of the Gemara is it's a beautiful flow, and we got it. Zak Baruch, everyone. Have a good night. See you next week. Be'ezrat Hashem. Zak Baruch. Mr. Jacob Levion, you're still there?
Yes, I am, Rabbi.
Mazal tov. We're looking
Thank you
forward
so
to
much.
learning
Thank
in
you so
Tanakh.
much.
We're
We're
very
looking
excited
forward to
this.
partying with you.
Okay. Mazal tov. Have a good night. Be well.
Thank you.